like that will happen to those, because you are on the right side, and I have a full faith that somehow cosmic forces will so arrange themselves that there shall be no further suffering for the Jewish people, and there will be no threat to the security of the new state which you have founded, and it will go on and on in greater glory and so on. Ladies and gentlemen, there is not one university in India where a university has produced even one urchin, one loafer, one hooligan who has uttered anything against the Jews of India, or who has tried to talk in terms of anti-Semitism. Nothing of the kind exists in my country, and nothing of that kind occurs in many other countries as well. If it does happen, I don't believe that it is a phenomenon which should make us insecure or make us afraid or nervous. This will be a passing phase and it will go out. But there is something to be done, because the young minds have to be weaned away from these evil influences to which they are subjected. I have said before, and I have written about it time and again, that today what the world needs is great teachers who will undo the kind of propaganda which is being carried on in some of the schools and some of the teaching institutions which have been set up by your enemies. Millions of dollars are being spent. There have been 5,000 schools in the adjoining state of Pakistan alone, where the young mind is being injected with the manufactured poison which is being created by these teachers day in and day out. We have to grapple with this phenomena. We have to grapple with this problem, that the young minds must be taught that this anti-Semitism is itself a vice, and the vice of the worst kind, and it is going to recoil upon them. After all, look at the achievements of the Jews in every field of genius. Your genius is a matter of envy. And if there is some surviving anti-Semitism today, it is a feeling of jealousy which is caused because they see their own backwardness, and they see that how advanced you can be and how successful you are in the battle of life. But the children cannot be blamed. The fault is of those teachers, and the teachers are being fed, nurtured by two states. And today, if your problems are to be solved, please, you will solve them with absolute moral certainty and indomitable courage. You have to locate those devilish, demonic states which are spreading this kind of poison amongst the young of the world and spoiling their minds. And what are our friends doing? Our friends are every day entering into unholy compromises with these very states which must be outlawed. What is this lunatic president of Iran? I mean, I can't understand how a person who pretends to rule a state, and a state like Iran, after all, when I think of Iran, I immediately think of that famous, that jug of wine and the book of verse and thou beside. Now that kind of a nation today is being ruled by these loony ayatollahs who, believe you me, if a free democratic election was held in that country, will be ruled out the next day. They can't retain power for a single day. And it is surprising that even President Obama has not been able to assert himself with the confidence and the courage which he must display in dealing with these recalcitrant states. I was invited to George Washington University to deliver some lecture, which I am a teacher, which nobody introduces me as a teacher of law. But ladies and gentlemen, I was there to deliver a lecture. And then I heard that President Obama was supposed to go to Cairo and make his great speech to the Muslim world. So I requested my hosts at the university, I said, can you postpone my talk to you till I hear Mr. Obama lecture tomorrow in Cairo? Believe you me, I have been a great admirer of President Obama, but when I heard his Cairo speech, it became a great disappointment to me that he was not even able to promulgate and to publicize his attitude to nuclear weapons and the duties of those states in particular who have signed that non-proliferation treaty. He did not have the courage even to tell them that we will take due notice of your committing a breach of that treaty, and you have already cheated the United Nations more than once. You have spoken lies about what you have created in the field of nuclear power, and you are continuing now to enrich uranium for the purpose of manufacturing of bombs, a thing which you are not prepared to admit. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish President Obama had picked up courage and spoken the truth on that occasion, and things would have been better, and the people of Iran would have been emboldened to get rid of this dictator who has now become a menace to the peace of the world and certainly a great threat to your security. I hope the State of Israel will rise to the occasion and deal with it single-handed with the assistance and cooperation of such friends as you have, and will be able to deal with this menace on your own, as you have dealt with this kind of a menace before when you did something to the state of Iraq. And ladies and gentlemen, there is one more thought that I wish to share with you in 2 minutes. The customary rule of international law had permitted what is called humanitarian intervention, which is a well-recognized exception in any textbook of international law when you deal with what are called matters within the domestic jurisdiction of the states, matters in which no foreign authority, including the community of nations or the United Nations, can interfere. Ladies and gentlemen, this right is impliedly now codified by the Charter of the United States, to which we are all parties. Today, a portion of the Charter is especially applicable to those governments which deal with their own citizens in a manner which amounts to a persistent and large-scale invasion of the human rights of your own citizens. We used that part of the United Nations Charter when we dealt with South Africa, when South Africa was practicing apartheid and they were treating their own citizens in a manner in which civilization required that they should not be dealt with. Therefore, there is an illustrious precedent in existence that the United Nations can intervene by imposing sanctions and taking all measures short of war for the purpose of preventing governments from treating their own citizens in a manner which is callous, which is cruel, which is uncivilized, and which is a violation of their human rights. And today, if there is any state which openly preaches violence against a section of its own community, which preaches hatred against its own citizens, that state is vulnerable to that portion of the Charter, and the least that should be done is outlaw it from the Committee of Nations and use economic sanctions and all other measures short of war, which measures can cause more harm than an armed attack upon that nation. I think our remedy lies in invoking the jurisdiction of the United Nations, and be sure that civilized states, including my state, my nation, will fully support you in this venerable task. And my friend Irwin, now that I find that you have more problems than I thought, be sure that I have a few, perhaps, I don't know, I'm now 87 years old, I don't know how much time is left, but let me rededicate it the little time and energy that I have to your cause and be sure that you haven't lost a friend. Thank you.